Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So you're eligible for legal advice today. Um, that's all I can assist you with today is just legal advice, and I can only assist you with legal advice in relation to that criminal charge and some advice about the warrant out for your arrest at the moment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just start off by going through the summary with you, the police summary. Have you read this before?
Yeah, I have a copy of it. They mailed it
Yeah.
a week before court, so it arrived a couple of days before the hearing.
Okay, and when you say a week before court, you mean...
They literally mailed it a week before court, despite saying 3 months prior that they would send it in the mail. They dicked around. It was Michael Cook did that.
Yeah. And that was back in 2018, is that right?
Yeah. I'd just gotten out of hospital from kidney surgery.
Okay, yep. Alright, so we'll just go through the summary. Alright, so the accused is representing himself at a contested hearing at Sale Magistrates Court on 20th of February 2018. Prosecutor leading senior constable Michael Cook had a pre-hearing conference with the accused. During this conference, leading senior constable Cook warned yourself that he was not allowed to record the court proceeding without permission from the judicial officer. The accused was advised to speak to the court registrar and make application if he intended to still record the proceeding. The accused stated that it was his right to record the proceeding and that he didn't trust the courts or police. Court registrar Kylie Keating confirmed with leading senior constable Cook that no application had been made to record the proceeding. During the proceeding, leading senior constable Cook observed the accused remove an unknown item from the bar and walk to the witness box. At the conclusion of the hearing, the accused was sentenced to a term of imprisonment. While the accused was being secured by senior constable Keith Kell, a mobile phone was located in the accused's pocket. The phone was checked by leading senior constable Cook, who identified a recording of the proceeding had been made on the phone. The phone was seized and lodged in the property of the Sale Police Station. Post-proceeding, further inquiries at the court confirmed the accused had not made any application to record the proceeding and was not exempt from recording the proceeding. So they've got some witnesses. They've got Kylie Keating, who's a registrar at Sale.
Who received multiple requests regarding court records and recordings prior, because these hearings went on for a while. But yeah, I know the list that's there.
Yeah, okay, you know the list. Alright, so you made the application. Do you know if those applications got approved, or was there any status, or...?
They just kept sending back going, I could request it, and I stated that it was unsuitable for me representing myself. I needed to be able to go over the case, and waiting 2 to 3 months for them to release video was unsuitable. That actual day, Michael Cook was warned because he was proceeding with false charges. There's a recording of mine and Michael Cook's meeting. So everything he said there is kind of one-sided. He's left a lot of stuff out that he said that's recorded on the phone. And that's probably his primary reason for seizing the phone, because I notified him that there were false charges amongst the charges there, and they're proven to be false in court that day.
Okay, so these are the false charges in the contested hearing that you had?
In that hearing. And the magistrate realised they were false charges and struck them mid-contest, which from what I know is not allowed. That's perjury what the officer committed that day, because he tried to get those charges laid and lied repeatedly. So for the magistrate to ignore that put the magistrate off centre, which is something Michael Cook sneered about on the phone when I called him to have the phone returned, because I'd stated previously that I wanted to submit the phone to IBAC for a corruption investigation for him laying false charges in proceeding.
Okay, yeah. So I really can't advise on any of that or get involved in any of that. The only thing I can really get involved with in my service that I can provide today is this charge that you've been charged with, intentionally recording a court proceeding.
Well, can I make this... Sorry, Fergus. Can I make this easy for you rather than wasting your time and wasting mine? Basically, I would like to know how I get that evidence provided and protected, because I don't want the police deleting it, because the bit that he missed out on was he forced me to give him my PIN number for my phone so he could have tampered with it.
Okay.
And he shouldn't have done that. I've been advised by a lawyer he had no right to do that in the court under duress to force me to do that.
Okay, so what evidence exactly would you like to get protected?
What's on the mobile phone, and I would like the court records preserved as well, because they've stated they still have the full records of the thing in an email over the last 4 years.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea how you go about that. That's really not something I can help with.
Yeah, it's funny, no one seems to be able to take this on, and they wonder why our courts get away with what they do. It's pretty corrupt.
Yeah.
Well, they need to be watched over. This magistrate blatantly let that. Now, I happen to know for a fact this magistrate let a guy off that King hit someone in the back of the head, yet he put me in jail for 3 months for asking a police officer a question.
So what were you convicted of?
I was convicted of refusing to provide a breath sample, but I provided a breath sample to the officer, and he stated that I needed to come with him to the station. So I asked him what the reading was, and then he said from there he took off and did a burnout. That's on video, and he flew off and then charged me with refusing to attend a station.
Okay, and you were sentenced to 7 days imprisonment, is that right?
At the end of the day, 7 days in a maximum security prison, of which I spent 4 days in isolation in a psych ward because of some bullshit thing which they had to release me on in the end.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really impressed with the system at the minute.
I don't blame you, mate. Look, I would love to help you more, but unfortunately, the only service I can provide today, due to my job and guidelines and everything.
No, that's fair enough, mate. I can just write back to who I wrote to, because I technically wrote to the head of the department. This was a palm down. She's throwing it back away. I want to speak to her, honestly.
You've probably heard this before, but have you tried ringing legal help?
I've actually been given a grant for a $2,000 from the Legal Services Victoria Board, or whatever it is, to get a lawyer. But the problem is, when everyone's a coward and doesn't want to take on the fact there's a judge involved in this, or a magistrate, sorry, calling him a judge is a bit of a error, but given that, trying to find any lawyers in the area that want to deal with this is, impossible. So I can have a $2,000 voucher all I want. It's worth toilet paper, technically.
Okay, yeah. So look, at this stage there is a warrant out for your arrest for failing to attend court. At this stage, the police can pick you up literally any time.
Yeah, I'm pretty aware of that. They keep calling me Fergus and harassing me, and I've called them back and had conversations with some of the dickheads that have called me, but none of them seem to want to look into the fact that there's police corruption at the heart of this.
Okay, yeah.
So, and because the police are sneaky shits and take it to court, it can't go to IBAC while it's before a court either. So Michael Cook played a nice little game here. I'm surprised no one's onto him yet. But in all honesty, with this, warrants can be withdrawn and annulled and dates can be set. That's what I've sought from the police for the last 4 years, and I've had the police and the courts both say it's not their responsibility. So how do I get the pair of jackasses between them to sort this out so that I can go to court? Because I think it's a bit off for starters that I'm supposed to go to this preliminary hearing like last time with no evidence provided to be able to justify fighting or not allowing the case. What the police have written is bullshit. I need to sort out so that I can go to court, and I want the evidence provided, because last time I got sentenced and the police provided some of what I requested, but all I got given as far as breatho readings went was a Excel document made up by the officer himself, which, if that constitutes evidence, the system's a joke.
No, you mean normally they should give you...
A receipt from the device. I sent him a thing and said I want the receipt from the device. They refused to provide that, and the video footage from the car went missing.
Okay.
which is all very interesting. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed.
The previous matter that's already just finalised and is over.
Well, it's not like the legal aid lawyers tried to represent anything. They just let me go to friggin' jail for asking a question.
Okay. Yeah.
So they were Dribbin and Brown, which I tried to speak to. I think it's Michael Dribbin, and he dribbled some shit, and then he managed to have a lot more to say when I wrote a Google review on him, but none of it answered any of the questions brought forward, like, what did you do to try and investigate what the police had done?
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like you appealed. You're sentenced to 7 days, and then you appealed it, and then what happened? They just set it aside, and
No, I was sentenced to 3 months initially, and then I got given 7 days at the end of it because the magistrate was switched out at the last minute for an ex-police prosecutor, according to the barrister that day. And he just didn't allow anyone to talk and sentenced me to 7 days. He wasn't going to talk or anything about it. Said I needed to think about responsibility, which is ironic given all the police mishandling of evidence and corruption going on.
okay, yeah. And did you have legal representation of this, or did you represent yourself?
I had a lawyer who did a pathetic job, but she's out of reach of everyone because she vacuumed $3,000 out of me.
Okay, so it was privately.
Yep, from DDD, Drink Driving Defence. Her name's Zoe Davis. I don't even know if she practices anymore.
Okay, yeah. Look, mate. As I said, all I can really help you with is just this one charge that's before the court at the moment. Where there's
Well, how do I get that to court other than I don't want to deal with the police, and I know they can annul the warrant, and I'm sick of being assaulted and bloody everything else going on. They need to do this properly. I've requested them 12 times to set a date.
Yeah, so to get a date set, you have to essentially hand yourself into police.
Well, that's not going to happen because then they're just going to railroad it through and put it in 2 weeks' time, and I won't be able to get any assistance with saving the evidence. So
Usually you can get the first court date, the first mention, adjourned quite easily.
not if I get the judge they're planning on me getting. They're trying to rig this so that I get Tim Walsh, that was it. He's a dodgy prick.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, he's the one that let the cop lie in court, and he's the one that Guy King hit someone in the back of the head at Morwell Courts, and he let him go and said he couldn't put him in jail as much as he wanted to, but sentenced me to 3 months for asking a question. Guy's a real piece of work, mate.
Yeah, I've had a few interactions with him. So he was the one that was sitting over this, and then they subbed him out for someone else, so he's saying.
Well, he sat over this, and they basically... he sat over this one. When it went to appeal in Melbourne, it went through someone else. This guy, they've tried to rig it so that he'll be hearing the hearing for the matters that are in front of you, the ones that I've got to deal with.
Yeah, okay. So look, the only way you can get a court date is to go into the police, hand yourself in, and get this warrant withdrawn. If you hand yourself in, there is a risk that there's 3 options they can do. They can either remand you to appear at court, which is where they hold you in custody until the next day.
Which is, I know they're going to do that because they're a pack of fuckwits out this way.
I think it's hard to say. I think because it's been almost 3.5 years now, the longer you let it wait, the more chance you have of being remanded. The second option there, have a second release on bail for your next court date, which is also a possibility because of the amount of time that's lapsed, or they'll release you pending summons. So this charge in itself isn't that serious, but because...
What they did serious, and if they get away with it, I think that's pretty fucking serious too, mate. Sorry, but...
Yeah.
I haven't risked my ass I've risked getting shot. You know what the police are like up here? They came round here on a previous warrant, forced their way through the door, hurt the kid's mum and everything, and then when I was cooperating walking with them because I was due for surgery, they decided to drag me out and wrestle me into the front yard. Now, IBAC have watched all of this and said there was no misconduct. I never lifted a finger. I was hobbling and I got assaulted. Then they tried to delete the video off of the wrong phone because I decoyed them and threw another phone down. I'm just a bit over this. And given all the shit like they're bashing up grandmas and that, you wonder why there's a problem in the world. It's just, yeah, sorry, I know it's not your fault. You're limited to what you can do, but then really, is it worth doing your profession if all it's doing is holding up a system that exploits people? Like like with this, legal aid, how are you going to help when I've got the whole entire police force and a court system that wants to protect its own ass up against me, and I'm supposed to just give up, let them get away with this and go, oh, fair call, mate. I've got like kids. I want them to have a decent future. I don't think a decent future comes at the end of a police officer's gun whenever they fucking feel like it. Like this should have been, the cops should have just left this alone. I didn't hurt anyone or do anything, yet they persisted on expanding this as much as they could, went to the effort of lying in court, and now they're trying to cover their asses. I just want this resolved and I want them dealt with. And I guess the problem is, no one seems to be able to do shit. No one wants to do shit. They're just, yeah.
So, if you were to say what your exact issue is that you want, it's that you want to make a complaint to ICAC about the conduct of Mike Cook and the magistrate during the previous hearing you had back in 2018 where you got a term of imprisonment, is that right?
Yeah, well, that won't matter because if I go to IBAC without the video evidence they're trying to get deleted, IBAC won't lift a finger. IBAC already ignored worse, just as bad as shit, and that was with evidence. So, you know, I'm not exactly trusting IBAC and the Vic Inspector. Hold it. If I go through this, over the last 4 years, I haven't just been hiding away. I've been trying to sort this shit out. I've ended up at IBAC who have used a clause in their powers that says they can choose to not investigate something if they don't want to. And then I went to the Vic Inspectorate regarding that, and the Vic Inspectorate pulled the same clause out of their butt to say they can choose to not investigate something if they want to.
Well, mate, to be honest, I'm not sure what to tell you. If they both told you that and you've tried your best to do that, I'm not really sure what other options you have at this stage. I'm not an expert in that kind of field, though. I'm just a criminal lawyer. I don't really know much about IBAC.
Yeah. I'll just, I'll get in touch with the boss again, as far as it goes. Like, you know, this at least previously legal aid haven't wanted to acknowledge this and said it's out of their bounds. So.
Well, if someone's told you that, then it most likely is. Unfortunately, we have a lot of guidelines that dictate funding and dictate the level of services we can provide. It's not that we don't want to do it or that someone's...
No, I understand, and that's just it. Maybe I'm going... Fergus, maybe I'm going through this process so that I can write to someone higher to say there's a real problem with the system at the minute.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm keeping records of everything that I'm doing, and that'll all go forward through because, like you said, there's not much you can do. You're bound by the limitations of your job. I just find it funny that everyone's got their hands tied, yet the police can make shit up and it just happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for your time anyway, but I gather that, yeah, this is a dead end and I'll just either leave it to a bullet in my back or I find somewhere else to live.
Well, yeah, I understand what you mean, mate. Look, as I said, everything I can advise you on is this warrant and the charge that's before the court. I'd be advising if I was you to hand yourself into police and get this sorted out because the longer you leave it and the longer you have a warrant out for arrest, the more likely it is that you'll be remanded once the police catch up with you, which they probably will.
Nah, they're dopey fucks, trust me, mate.
Yeah, I know you, man.
I've called him. The dickhead kept coming round. I got video of him on the thing. I said to him, do you want me to send the video to show you how stupid you look in the kid's mum's driveway, you fuckwit? I've had enough of him. But honestly, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
With all of this, when the police have these kind of powers to go ahead, do you think we're ever going to get justice in the system?
That's a tough question, mate.
being able to hide evidence and not supply it, like, you know, the game they played with me, sending a hearing thing a week before a hearing, it's supposed to be there 2 weeks prior minimum.
Yeah.
I'm well versed with this because it's not the first time I've had to deal with them. I've got an ex-partner who was mates with the police, so they were all happy to chase after me for a bunch of made-up, frivolous shit. They even threw out video evidence that countered their story just so she could get a bogus assault charge put on me. So I'm not amused by any of this. Like, the last 20 years of my life has been taken up with corrupt bullshit, and it seems like no one can do anything. Just think about what it might be like if you end up in that position.
Definitely, mate. I don't know what to tell you, sorry.
No.
Unfortunately, down by the limitations of my job, all I can do is help you with this charge that's before the court at the moment.
Yep, and they're going to get away with what they do and bully this. So, okay. Well, you might see me in the news when they shoot me then, because I ain't turning myself into a pack of plods. So, thanks.
Well, that's up to you, mate. All I can do is give you that advice. If that's not what you want to do, then...
I was going to say, how's that advice when there are options, like within the law, for them to reset this date? Like, why are they being so awkward?
In terms of the date for this charge?
Yeah, they can just set one. They could reset it. They don't need the warrant. They could have reset it on the day if they wanted. They've done this before, where I've even called them and gone, well, why can't you just set a date and send it out? And they've gone, no, we'd rather put a warrant on you.
So you must not have attended the first court date on the 26th of November. Is that what happened?
I've missed one court date for this.
Yeah, so they've issued a warrant for failing to appear.
Yeah, but how can you appear at something when you receive the mail like a day or so before? I didn't open the mail until like the following week.
Yeah.
That's just it. When they send it that late, the postal marks on the mail say how late the police sent it.
Yeah.
And they had 3 months to send it, and then they send it in the last week, and they can just do this. It sounds like a bit of a shit game that they're allowed to play there.
Yeah, it does. So you didn't know about this court date, the original court date?
No, I was seeking representation for it when I found out off of them. They said the court date was actually that day. And then I tried to call the court and say, well, can you just set another date? And they went, no. They've done that before when there was a frost over, and the girl laughed on the end of the phone. It's the same one you've got referred there, Kylie Keating. She's quite a piece of work. She laughed her ass off going, oh, we've had heaps of warrants issued this morning. I wonder why. And I said, it was -8 degrees. Most people couldn't get their cars started. And she just went, well, you're going to have to deal with the warrant. Seems like a bit of a power trip to me.
Yeah, it does. They do that all the time. They just issue warrants like there's no tomorrow. And unfortunately, people like yourself are forced to deal with the consequences. But
Well,
the system as it is, unfortunately, and all you can do to get this matter relisted is to go to the police and get the warrant sorted out.
yeah. I'll send it again. I'll just give them the chance to save their dignity. They can send I've asked them a dozen times to send